Hey guys, it's me, Abby, and today I'm going to be presenting on Born on a Blue Day Inside the Extraordinary Mind of an Autistic Savant. So, a little bit about me. I've been working with the autistic community for the past 10 years. I've been a special education aide. I'm currently a year round Special Olympics coach. I'm an attendant for two individuals that have autism, working on life skills, daily living skills, and socialization. I've also been the intern for Special Olympics Virginia, and I'm currently a board member. So these people are more like my family than they even are my friends, which is why this project was so special to me. So obviously with my previous experience, I had some preconceptions, many of which did match what's seen in the textbook. A lot of people with autism has a fixation on unusual objects, which was seen with one of my special education kids collecting bottle caps and organizing them by color. There's also a lack of social skills. The guy that I'm currently a caretaker for doesn't know when his girlfriend is flirting with him, and I have to kind of cue him that she's flirting and then give him ways to flirt back. There's also hyperactivity to sensory input. A lot of my players just like to feel the goal netting in between their fingertips, and I even know a girl who likes spinning so much that she locked herself in her own washing machine and turned it on. Self-injurious behavior like this is common, although not always intentional, and occupational difficulties and deficits are seen, but some of this may be due to a comorbid condition such as anxiety or intellectual disability. Born on a Blue Day is a memoir written by Daniel Tomei that looks at the triumphs and tribulations that he faced throughout his life. He has multiple diagnoses, including savant syndrome, which results in genius-like abilities, specifically with memorization. He's also on the autism spectrum. He specifically has Asperger's, which results mainly in social deficits and often isn't followed by intellectual deficits or large deficits in communication. He also has synesthesia, which I've had to record this like 4 times just to get that word right, which is where his different senses mingle together, resulting in him actually seeing numbers as shapes and textures, which is part of why he can remember them. He believes that a lot of this is due to childhood temporal lobe epilepsy, because the temporal lobe is involved in sensory input and memory. His childhood was pretty tumultuous. He had very little social interaction and spent a lot of time in his room seeing other kids as just a background to his life, not really a part of his world. He also had very strict schedules, and when this wasn't met, he engaged in self-injurious behavior such as beating his head against a wall. But during his adulthood, the very same things that made him odd as a child, such as his perfectionism or his focus on weird, eccentric things, were the very same things that made him successful. He set the world record for the most memorized digits of pi. He has a knack for learning and memorizing different languages, so he taught English in Lithuania, created his own language, and created a successful site for learning foreign languages. He also participates in many experiments to further the body of knowledge on savant syndrome. And most importantly, he grew up to be happy and live independently and have a successful relationship with his partner, Neil, which he didn't even think that he was capable of doing, and I'm sure many others doubted that he was capable of doing as well. There are some differences from my preconceived notions. For example, Daniel Tomei has incredible intellectual disabilities, and most of the people that I work with do have IQs below 70. He also thrives at communication in the form of learning languages, whereas a lot of people that I work with really struggle with any sort of communication and may even be nonverbal. He gives a unique look at how relationships are formed and desired, saying that initially he didn't really desire relationships, but as he grew older and started to do it just to look normal, he actually started desiring these relationships more than he would have ever thought. It is different from the textbook, in that the textbook never really mentions savant syndrome or any type of autism with an IQ over 70. It barely mentions Asperger's at all, and almost presents autism as a hopeless diagnosis, and any treatments that are given seem to have low success rates and very few are given at all. Which brings up a question that I thought about a lot while reading this book is, should autism be treated? It was the very same things that made Tomei stand out as a child and made his life difficult that were the same things that helped him to succeed as an adult. Of course, we want to make sure that these individuals are not feeling distress or a large level of dysfunction, but once they achieve happiness, isn't that enough? And shouldn't their diagnosis no longer be seen as a disability, but just the way that they are? The guy that I currently work with was supposed to be aborted before he was ever born because his mother was told by a doctor that he would never live a meaningful life. And he looked at me the other day and he said, I think my life is pretty meaningful. Don't you? And I looked at him and obviously I agreed. He works Fridays at the Dollar General, has a girlfriend that he will probably never kiss, and is obsessively fixated on puzzles. But for him, that is enough. And as Kim Peek reminds us, an autistic savant who was the inspiration behind Rain Man, you don't have to be disabled to be different, because everyone is different. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you all are doing great, and I miss seeing your faces in class every single day.